Do you know who supplies your energy at home? Changing our energy suppliers is one of the biggest ways that we can make our homes more sustainable, but up until now, green energy suppliers have always been the more expensive option. However, now green energy tariffs are some of the cheapest ones on the market, and more people are making the switch for environmental or financial reasons. As of last year, 38% of people in the UK would be willing to go onto a green tariff, but there's a lack of trust in unfamiliar brands that people haven't heard of, which stops people making the switch. If you aren't already tied into another contract, switching to a green energy supplier is free. It might save you money, and it's one of the biggest things that you can do to reduce your individual carbon footprint. It's basically great all round. As the conversation around climate change becomes more mainstream, it gives us the opportunity to empower people with a really easy way for them to reduce their carbon footprint at home. So we wanted to find out, firstly, what green energy is, how it's made, and how it gets into our homes. There are loads of different types of renewable energy. You've probably heard of the main ones like solar and wind power. Actually, the government have just announced a big subsidy plan, which means that 30% of the UK's energy will be produced by offshore wind farms by 2030. There is also stuff like geothermal energy. So a geothermal energy plant works by tapping into a steam or a hot water reserve underground, and it uses that to turn an electricity generator. Another example is hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power is created by water falling, and this can happen, for instance, if we have a dam and we need the water out of the dam, we open the dam and kinetic energy is created by the water rushing out of it. Renewable energy is good because as long as the technology is in place to capture the energy, it never runs out, and it means that we aren't increasing the pressures of global warming by pouring more greenhouse gases into the environment. Greenhouse gases are released when we burn traditional energy like coal or gas. Switching to greener energy resources is vital for us to be able to keep global warming at a manageable level and to protect the Earth's resources. But if we do opt to go with a green energy supplier, how do they get green power into our homes? Hello, I am here with Kristian, who is an energy professional, to find out a little bit more about renewable energy, what it is, how it works, and how it gets into our homes. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
No problem. So in the UK, we have the 2008 Climate Act. And this sets the overall emissions level that we have to reduce by. So by 2050, we need to reduce our CO2 emissions by 80%, a lot. 2017, we had just under 30% renewable electricity generation. So for context, the largest source of electricity was gas at 40%. Next was nuclear, just under 20%, so it's more than nuclear. And the renewable bucket includes things like wind, biomass, solar, that kind of thing, hydro. And then towards the bottom we have things like coal, which is just over 5%.
And how does this renewable energy get into our homes?
So for the electricity to get to your home, it has to travel down some wires, some big wires, some small wires. In the UK, in GB, we have two networks. So we have a transmission network. This is kind of the motorway of electricity transport. So this is the big high voltage network. The second network is the distribution network. So this takes the electricity from the big pylons all the way to your home.
And I think the assumption for a lot of people is that when they switch to a renewable energy supplier, that means that the energy then coming into their house is renewable energy, but that is not how it works.
No, so it's not physically renewable. It's very difficult, I say very difficult, impossible, to trace an electron from its source all the way to someone's home. So think of all the electricity being born equally. It all goes onto the network in one go. And then what the supplier's job is to basically work out how much electricity it's put on and work out how much renewable electricity it said it will put on. So it needs to make sure it's putting on enough renewable generation to put on for your demand. So it knows how much you'll use and it will get enough renewable generation on somewhere for that level of demand.
And renewable energy at the moment, is it more expensive than traditional energy supplies that you could use?
So I suppose to start off with, there's lots of things that make up an energy bill. One of them is that wholesale cost. I suppose the non-scientific answer is not really. I had a quick look on a price comparison website. You can switch through other means. And I had a look at, what the price was for renewable-only electricity. And I think it's fair to say there are lots of market-leading prices on the market which have renewable-only electricity.
And these are from new suppliers who are kind of jumping in, as well as old suppliers?
Yeah, so all sorts of suppliers will usually sell renewable energy electricity. And I generally don't think it means if you go renewable, it means your bill has to be higher.
And what are the benefits across the board of switching to a renewable energy supplier?
I suppose you get to be part of the UK moving to a lower carbon economy and a lower carbon energy system. I suppose the main benefit is you get to feel good.
My other question is about who controls the energy supplier? Because in my head, there's kind of like a crazy control room with loads of flashing lights and people trying to work out where demand is highest and how you get the energy there. And I was wondering how that actually worked.
So there is a control room. I've been there and it's not crazy. It's very calm, very relaxed, lots of people in control.
They all know what they're doing?
Yes, they definitely know what they're doing. The system operator, which is National Grid, it's their job to look after electricity on a live basis. So they are looking at supply and demand as it's happening. In the electricity sector, supply and demand have to equal each other live. If they don't, you've got big problems.
So there's no way of storing that energy anywhere, like a battery?
Not really. So there's no way of storing the really large amounts that we see on the system in one place. So we do have batteries, we do have pumped hydro. So there are changes happening and there is innovation, but we can't store a power station's worth of electricity in one place.
And what do you see the energy system in the UK looking like in the next sort of 20 years?
I think it will look different to what it does now. So I think generally a move to, I suppose, more decentralised. So the system will be more split. We may have more than one system operator. So we may have smaller system operators working at smaller levels geographically. More flexibility, so things like demand side response. So instead of producing more electricity, you just use less when you're giving a signal. More renewable energy, more batteries, hopefully. Fewer emissions.
Do we sell any of the electricity that we generate to other countries as well?
Yes.
So we're not just supplying us, we're supplying lots of other people?
Yes, so GB, Great Britain, has 5 interconnectors now. One just came online about a month ago. So we have 2 interconnectors to Ireland. So Ireland is one market, so for the whole of Ireland. And then we have 3 interconnectors across the channel. So 1 to Belgium, 1 to the Netherlands, and 1 to France.
And do we also buy energy from those other places?
Yes, so we buy electricity from them as well.
We've made a video before in the vlog looking at electric cars, and I was wondering whether the increase in uptake in electric cars is going to affect the way that we produce and use energy.
Yeah, so the more electric vehicles you have on the road, theoretically you should have a higher electricity demand. So I think the high-level plan for decarbonising energy as a whole, so not just talking about electricity, but talking about heat and transport as well, is to make everything powered by electricity. So to move to electric vehicles and to move to electric heating as well.
And what can people do if they're thinking about switching to a green supplier? Where can they go to get information about who they are and how they operate?
So they can go directly to the supplier themselves. So hopefully people can trust that some of the information that they're getting from suppliers. They can go to a price comparison website, which will search the prices in one place. And I think for the latter, Ofgem has a list of accredited price comparison websites, so you know they're safe.
I will put that in the description so that you can have a look at it. So if you switch to a green energy supplier, it doesn't mean that renewable energy is being funneled specifically into your home, but it does mean that you are putting more renewable energy into the national grid overall, which makes a huge difference to the amount of greenhouse gases that are being released into the atmosphere. If you aren't sure which energy supplier to go with, I've put a link in the description which lets you check which is the cheapest provider in your area. Also, legally, an energy provider has to reveal to you what their fuel mix is. So if you want something that's 100% renewable, you can find that, or if there's a fuel mix, you'll know where it comes from. So for instance, I'm with Bulb, and their energy is 100% renewable, whereas their gas is 10% renewable, but at least I know where it's coming from. Do some digging around and find out which deal is the best one for you. An important note is if you are renting like me and you pay your energy bills, then you are absolutely in control of which provider that you want, so you can make a switch if you want to. If you are thinking about changing your energy supplier after watching this video, or if you have any questions about anything we've discussed today, please let me know in the comments. We would love to help you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And that's the end of the episode. To find out more and to get inspired, head to our website, www.hubbub.org.uk, where you'll find loads of top tips to give you the spark to do things differently. Tune in for the next episode and come and join the Hubbub.